What is up, guys? Welcome to another edition of This Week in Wrestling, Straight Edge Wrestling podcast. This week has been a whirlwind of news. I think that's one way of putting it. Obviously, we started the week with pay-per-views and sort of on a high, and then there was a coronavirus story, which we'll talk about in a bit. And then come the later up part of the week, there was a series of allegations made against a lot of not only originally British wrestlers and promoters and people involved in the British wrestling scene, and then lots of American people involved in American wrestling as well. It all stemmed from a former partner of indie wrestler David Starr accusing him of what they call like grey rape and various sort of abusive behaviors, which he denied, and then he then quickly deleted all of his social media. And after that, they were using a hashtag which was hashtag Speaking Out, where lots of women and men both shared their stories of sort of different, not always just sexual assaults, but different abusive behaviors within British wrestling that have occurred over the past sort of decade or so. Some very well-known names and promotions involved in this. Obviously, we know that Jack Gallagher has been released by WWE after he was accused of rape. We know that Jordan Devlin, who's WWE's cruiserweight champion, has been accused, but then WWE released a statement, the same as they did with Matt Riddle, saying that they're investigating these things. OTT, David Starr was OTT's champion. Obviously, they stripped him of the championship. Jimmy Havoc was accused of some really, really serious things. And AEW released a statement saying that he's going off to rehab and they'll reevaluate their relationship with him afterwards. It's got quite, I don't know, I don't even know the words for it. It's got quite incredible over the past 72 hours, the amount of people that have come out. But yeah, and obviously like you said earlier about there's been a backlash against all this, with lots of people sort of claiming people just should shut up about it, right? That they should keep their mouth shut. Or
they come out, they get the thing, confidence, the bulls to finally come out about it. And then the following day, later on, they're being asked for proof. What's this? All because they put in saying that someone, a wrestler they look up or whatever's done something to them in the past growing up, whether they're young, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean,
that's just as bad at the same time as what's going on with them. So,
yeah, it's not our place. If someone comes out and says, this is what happened to me, it's not my place, it's not your place to stand there and say, I don't believe it happened, show me the evidence. That isn't for us to do.
No.
I think it's really quite sickening that I've seen a lot of it as well. I've seen an awful amount of it, mainly under the women's. When women have come out and said their stories, people have responded and said that. And then I've seen lots of the people that have been accused release statements and people responding saying, oh, we support you, we support you, we support you. It's a horrific double standard. Horrific. It takes an awful amount of courage to come out on a public platform, and especially go against companies like the WWE, huge companies with massive legal teams behind them, and AEW and massive legal teams, all that behind them. It takes an awful lot of courage to come out knowing that they're going to shoot you down, and they're going to do all they can to make you seem uncredible, right?
Yeah, completely.
But that it keeps on spiraling in the sense in that more stories keep on coming out. Go and follow Matthew if you don't, from Botchamania. He's collecting lots of the stories. His Twitter is at Matthew Gregg, MAFFEWGREGG. He's collating lots of these stories. So anyone that doesn't follow him, go and follow him because he's really covering this really well.
We'll put it up. I dare say we can put his Twitter up and up.
Yeah, I can
up on our
put it
screen.
up here. He's doing a really good job with covering all of this, and not taking a stance. He's just releasing all this information there, which is really good. This has been forwarded now to multiple police forces throughout the UK. There's been some MPs that have been tweeting about it this morning as well. So I think,
I know there's some dodgy fuckers, so they should be
yeah,
careful what they say.
yeah. So I think I think this is the end of it, and I think it's
Well, it's
gonna,
good.
yeah, yeah, it's good because
Let's be
lots of this
honest.
stuff just gets,
The more people speak out about it, the better we can. Let's be
absolutely.
honest. 2020 seems to be the year that let's get all the bullshit out, and
Yeah,
fucking deal with
absolutely,
it.
absolutely. This, I mean, we spoke about this a little while ago. These have been things which have been going on in the wrestling business for decades. These rumors and stories and things like this, we all know about them. We all heard about the Pat Patterson Ring Boy scandal and Terry Garvin and all that. We've all heard these stories.
Well, yeah, but at a certain point, let's go back. You go back to the 70s and 80s, but that's also a time of era. The whole fucking thing of any industry was fucking dodgy as
Yeah,
fuck.
yeah. But it's sort of, it seems as though, and lots of these stories people are saying are going back 10, 15, 20 years. So it just seems as though it's constant. It's been a constant thing. The accusations against Jim Cornette, which have come out, which obviously he's denied and his wife's denied. Some of them are going back 2 decades. There's lots of male performers, lots of male wrestlers who have been saying how when they were ring boys, when they were younger, when they were like 12, 13, 14, that they were molested or whatever by promoters back then, or abused in some way by promoters. So there's a whole range of things which have been coming out here. Everything from sort of mental abuse right the way up to really, really serious rape allegations which have come out of this. And I hope when this all is said and done, we actually get some people, the women and all the guys involved in this actually get some kind of justice from all this, because we know lots of the time this stuff just disappears, it's brushed under the carpet.
That, and hopefully things move forward and everything's a lot safer.
Yeah, I agree, because I mean, it just sort of it shows just how pretty much every British indie has been implicated in this in some way. From people that have wrestled in Rev Pro to OTT to CZW, all of them. So it's going to take a lot of trust for people to want to go back to these promotions. Not just the fans, but the wrestlers as well. People that work for them to actually go back and work for those companies and actually regain some kind of trust from them. So another story which came out this week, just staying on this theme of just how bonkers 2020 has been, is that WWE had their second coronavirus scandal, as I should say, on Tuesday. So there was a WWE developmental talent, an NXT developmental talent, that tested positive for COVID-19, a female talent who's going to remain nameless because they've
So it's female. I never even knew if it was male or female.
Yes, that's as much as sort of is out in the public domain, that it's a female NXT developmental talent who's never been on TV before, but she tested positive for COVID and was last in the Performance Center a week prior to this week's filming, and WWE then pulled their tapings for SmackDown 205 main event for the Tuesday and said that everyone was going to get tested. This should be noted. This is the first time they have tested anyone in WWE. Anyone.
I thought they tested everyone before they went.
They give them a temperature check. That's it, and they make them fill out a questionnaire. For many, many wrestlers, this was the first test they've ever done. Some have done them privately, but WWE have never done it. So this was their first ever test.
They basically was stated that they were testing people.
Yeah, when they said testing.
Like the way that they also put out the thing now of they have now given wrestlers a choice if they don't want to come in. There'll be nothing, no one will get done for it. When Sammy put that state down, he got stripped of a title.
Yeah. So Kevin Owens refused to come in on the Tuesday tapings. Good on him. I mean, AEW is far from perfect in all of this. AEW have been testing. They've been doing the quick test, the quick swab test, and quick blood tests. On everyone.
But the difference is though, how many people you hear about positive things from AEW.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they've been pretty good on this. I mean, Jim Ross has said multiple times that he's getting tested 3 times a week. You know, that they fly them in on the Monday, they get tested on the Monday, so they get the results on the Tuesday, so then they can film on the Wednesday. You know, which is exactly how it should be. Really, it
Well,
blows
yeah,
my mind.
if you're putting people's lives at risk, then yeah.
It blows my mind that they I don't know, that WWE, this billion-dollar company, hasn't bothered testing once. And then on top of that, there's been lots of stories coming out this week about how WWE have not wanted people to be wearing masks in the crowd and all that.
Which is stupid because they sell masks and it's a great fucking off selling. So
That is
I never understood
literally
that
what
one.
I said. Yeah, I said the same thing. I said, you literally sell masks and yet you're going to tell people they can't wear them. There was a good quote which Dave Meltzer had pulled from Kevin Dunn, which Kevin Dunn had apparently been telling people this week, which was, you're not a fan of wrestling if you want to wear a mask. Which is just fucking ludicrous. Just ludicrous. I can't, like, I'm not being funny. They released a statement, WWE released a statement saying, oh, the developmental talent doesn't have any real contact with the talent in the ring and stuff. They keep them separated. They got the plexiglass. They keep them away. Blah, blah, blah. On the damn show, on this Monday show, the Street Profits were in the crowd. They were in the damn crowd with the
yeah,
the
I saw
fans.
it doing around, and I was a bit like, yeah, okay, this makes what's the point of this?
And then literally 3 hours later, they released the statement saying that there's no contact. We just saw the contact on your own show. It just blew my mind. But yeah, so they cancelled their Tuesday tapings because of it, and then they delayed them again on Wednesday because they didn't have the test results back. I cannot comprehend a billion-dollar company not testing every person. And then on top of that, you have a very old man in Ric Flair who's been very, very seriously ill recently, near death recently, on your damn TV show.
Don't get me started on that arsehole.
But do you know what I mean? Like, when this was starting, when this all started off, AEW sent Jim Ross home. They sent Jake Roberts home until they could get him tested, until they could do the testing again. WWE is flying Ric Flair in to not test him and have him around all these people when there's a positive test around. It just blows my mind.
Vince McMahon doesn't care. He just wants numbers to go up.
Yeah.
Which would have been great if they didn't screw Christian over. Motherfuckers.
Yeah. It all blows my mind. I was dumbfounded when I found out that they hadn't done a single test on any person. I was like, wow, I can't. It just,
I don't want to say I'm surprised, but
no, that's the thing. I'm not either, and that's quite worrying, isn't it? That we're not even surprised.
Especially
by
when
them
they
at this
actually stated that yes, they were testing people. Enough. Even on from the announcers when they first came back on, they was like that. Everyone's been tested.
Yeah. So what they mean by
and
testing,
and I'm pretty sure we're saying that they would be tested weekly as well.
Yeah. Yeah, what WWE means by testing is just taking everyone's temperature and making them fill out a questionnaire to say, oh, have you been around anyone? Have you had any symptoms? Have you done this? That was their testing.
That's not really a test, though, is it?
Some stories from the beginning of this of some wrestlers who said that they had their temperature taken and it was too high and were told, oh, wait 15 minutes. And it was lower again because, maybe they'd just gone for a jog or whatever. But then in the last few weeks, we know that Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful broke the story that there were people that were over the temperature limit and were still allowed into the performance center. So even that they
Which
can't
is funny,
adhere to.
Because Vince McMahon's a man that doesn't like people sneeze and things like that around him.
He's a germaphobe. Yeah,
you could almost get fired over it.
Yeah,
but he seems to be okay on the chance that he could catch COVID-19.
It blows my mind. But anyway, so wrestling this week, obviously we started the week with the greatest wrestling match ever, which it was not the greatest wrestling match ever, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I thought I did last week, but all right.
Well, it was Sunday, so started the week.
I don't guess. Let's go on a technicality here, shall
which I thought was I thought was a genuinely really good match. I know people were moaning about how it was edited.
It was not the greatest match, but it was
No.
one hell of an entertaining match. I'll give it that.
Yeah, and
I was never bored. I was never dull. I enjoyed every moment of it.
Same here, same here. I think they both work extremely hard. I think it's a damn shame that Edge got injured, and especially getting injured during a retake and not even during the actual match, which they had completed. I think this is the best I think Randy Orton's looked in years, genuinely.
That's because he doesn't have to wrestle anymore.
Yeah. Do you know what?
As I said to you earlier on, this is the first time he was actually going to do something properly in the ring for Raw, wrestling wise, because I don't think he actually did anything wrestling wise before January leading into the Royal Rumble. So
yeah, he's got that gorgeous little part-time schedule now. But he people always moan about how boring his matches are and all that, and he got into that argument with Tommaso Ciampa, where Tommaso Ciampa had said, "Oh, my kids were struggling to sleep last night, so I just put on a Randy Orton match and they were fast asleep." And I think this was like, hey, he can show you when they really want to go, he can go still.
Well, thing with Randy Orton, if he does that sort of violent, vindictive streak attitude, momentum, he's really, really good.
Yeah, they should never have changed him from being that psycho killer sort of vibe, because he's great at it.
I do love the way, though, when it comes to this Raw, they built up the fact of him bringing back his legendary killer gimmick.
Yeah, I do.
Even though it's ironic, because he's now technically a legend himself.
Yeah, he's a legend. So my only assumption is they've got to build up something. If they're going to go long term with this, which, I mean, it's WWE, but if they're going to go long term with this, they've got to build up something which leads to the legend killer being killed by a younger person, having someone else come and...
It'll probably be Seth Rollins.
Oh, please no. Anyone else, please. And then on Monday, just before Raw actually went on the air, about 2 hours before Raw went on the air, I posted to say that Christian was coming back and that he was going to be in a match with some sort of match at the end of the night. It broke quite early, and he boosted their rating quite a bit, actually.
The rating went up. We were all fucking lied to.
Christian came back at the beginning of the show and he accepted a unsanctioned match against Randy Orton in the main event.
Well, it took him a while to get there.
Yeah, it took him a while to get there. One little thing which came out this week, which I think is kind of cool and I think you'll like, was that Vince McMahon is super, super high on Angel Garza, and multiple people were quoted as saying that Vince has been quoted as saying multiple times that he finds Angel Garza to be the next Eddie Guerrero.
I told you he's been watching me.
Yeah, so he's very high on Angel Garza, which kind of and Andrade. But
I say this stuff last week, and the next thing you know, Vincent McMahon's got it in his head. Someone will watch my shit and still in my stuff.
Which is incredible because, like, as you said, when Paul Heyman called Angel Garza up, Vince didn't even know he was signed. He didn't know who he was on the NXT roster whatsoever, which I think's quite incredible and quite.
Well, maybe you should watch some of the NXT product that he puts money into.
You probably should do that.
Especially if there's going to be your future stars, right?
Yeah, in theory. So yeah, the show ended. Raw ended with Christian and Randy Orton pulling a little switcheroo. There was no match. Ric Flair screwed Christian.
Ric Flair better get banned from WWE for this one. Motherfucking dickhead.
Ric Flair came out and punched Christian straight in the penis. And
arsehole.
And Randy Orton punted him. I love that they've allowed the punt back. I think that's cool.
Whatever does the ratings.
Yeah.
Ric Flair's just killed the ratings.
So they're obviously building to some kind of Christian Randy Orton match, which I think is cool. It keeps the thing going because obviously Edge is going to be out a long old time.
Does this mean to try and help with the legendary killer thing that at some point they'll just bring CM Punk back for a month or two just to get battered by Randy Orton?
Just to get buried by Orton. Could you imagine? Fuck me. I think wrestling Twitter would melt down.
And at the end of the day, you give CM Punk a decent payday.
He'd
These
do it.
days and age, he just won't care. Fuck
Yeah.
it, it's payday.
I
My
do
passion
wonder,
in business already got killed by you guys anyway. So
I do wonder if they're going to do the Legend Killer thing again. Who they've got really they can use, you know.
Austin Theory, I think, would be really good at it.
What to take over for him?
Yeah, and Randy Orton's quite high on him. So I watched the interview he did with YouTube or some YouTube, and he stated he went down to the performance center, and as he went in, Austin Aries approached him and asked about explain like this finish he's wanting to do, which he says that it sort of ends like how you do your RKO. Is that okay? And it really touched him. He was like that. No one actually does that anymore. Also, the finisher he does, finisher that Austin Theory does is something that I always wanted to try and do myself when I was about 13. So, all these people still move.
I really like Austin Theory, and I think that, you know,
he's very. I was thinking about Austin Theory the other day. His in-ring's amazing. I want to see if he's got the complete package. I want to see it because I've never really seen him on NXT.
Yeah.
So I want to see how good he is with an actual microphone.
Yeah, I agree. That's the thing we haven't really seen. And now the problem is because he's with Seth.
Yeah.
He's going to be sort of overshadowed.
If he stayed with Selena, there would have been a chance for him to see what he's like talking.
Yeah.
Especially with all three of them if they were still squabbling.
Yeah, but now
he's in that one. He's going to be a Batman. So
yeah, he's going to have someone speaking for him all the time, which isn't the best.
Unless they eventually, through time, break it into like the evolutionary stage thing where he gets a chance of going for like, say, the United States Championship thing and gets his own little stuff like Randy Orton did with his and managed to get his own little stories. So time will tell on that one.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really good. That's quite a good choice for someone to take over. So I was thinking about who could do it, and that actually probably makes the most sense. And he's got the style for it as well. He's got the style. He's got that stature. Look. Yeah, he's got that cocky, arrogant young guy thing going about him as well, which works for that.
And it'd just be interesting to see. And at the same time, it will also work well doing it now. They made a mistake on not pairing him up with Randy Orton because at the same time he is stupidly freaking young as well, like Randy Orton was.
Yeah, crazy young, like really crazy. Yeah.
So
he's going to be around for a long time, I should think. Austin Theory. He's still very green, like he's still very, very new to the whole thing. He's very talented for how new he is to the whole thing. So yeah, I really do look forward to seeing where the hell they.
As I say, I just want to see him cut some promos.
Yeah, so but the problem is that seems to be quite a common theme with a lot of people. Just let me see something from them. Let me see some character from them. Let me see anything from them. You know, I mean, it's a nice transition. That's what you get from AEW quite a bit of. Just let me see something out of the guys in AEW. You know, because normally when they let someone go, when they've let Hangman Page go, when they've let Sammy Guevara go, it's been golden. You know. Kip Sabian, he's done great work.
I was going to say, I think the best one so far for it is Kip Sabian.
Yeah, when they've let those guys, these young guys who haven't got national exposure go, they've all pretty much done really well. I think AEW is going to struggle now in the women's division. Obviously, Britt Baker's out. Chris Statlander is now injured. She got injured and is out.
I love this week with Britt Baker where she got kidnapped and thrown in a bin.
I do love the fact that they're keeping her on TV and using her and doing all that stuff because since she's been injured, she's got more over than when she was actually wrestling, which is quite incredible.
Well, the thing is, I like the bit where she was in the bin and the next thing you know, and this Rebel would have made it for me because she finally found her, did the thing. She's like, well, what do you know? I've been here for like 6 hours. In an hour. No, it's been like 5 hours. And then it turns to 6 like 10. It's like, you're fine. I'm free. She starts walks up. No, you're hired again. I think the bit where they brought Rebel in as well with it helps to make the character that Britt Baker's trying to do.
What did you think about AEW overall this week?
It was quite an interesting show. I enjoyed it quite the way through.
I think the highlight, and I think what lots of people were talking about this week was Orange Cassidy at the end of the show.
He managed to show the different side of him. That was really good.
Yeah. So showing like a more like a darker side, like a more violent side of him, which was I thought
Yeah,
was a really really cool thing. I've not been the biggest proponent of Orange Cassidy. Like I've not disliked him. I've not liked him. I just sort of just don't get it. I really enjoyed that, and it really hooked me for the Jericho Orange Cassidy match. And I'm going to say this: WWE is obviously coming out all guns blazing now because they're going to be doing two uh, shows. AEW is going to be doing two shows, which are Fighter Fest, weeks back to back on Wednesdays instead of Dynamite. So it's going to be on free television. So NXT is fighting back by just throwing championship matches at you and dream matches and all this stuff because they are not liking this idea that AEW is essentially running a pay-per-view up against NXT on Wednesdays.
I don't know why. Although I didn't get a chance, I haven't managed to watch NXT yet this week. I watched it last week, and it was the best show out of the four.
Yeah, and do you know what? That gap, that ratings gap between NXT and AEW is closing and getting closer and closer every week. It's down to like less than 20,000 viewers now.
I got a feeling one that's a little bit more Vince's moaning at NXT lot. Because I know Triple H, he's really proud of the product he's got, and he knows he's got the better show.
Yeah.
I think he also knows he's probably got the better show than SmackDown and bloody Raw.
Yeah, you're right in that because there's been reports all week that it was a Vince McMahon directive that you do not let them run a pay-per-view up against you and not come out swinging. Essentially, that he's actually taken some kind of reins over NXT over the last week or so to be able to.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's also that's going to end up damaging. It's going to end up hurting NXT.
Mm.
You know, you're going to have
you
these
can't hot
these
shot.
storylines and matches going on, and then next thing you know, you've got to change what you're doing, throw this in right there, and then we're going to finally come to one of these, and what's the point?
So there is a very Vince McMahon-esque thing that NXT did this week. So you have Keith Lee, Johnny Gargano, Finn Balor next week fighting for the NXT North American Championship. The winner of that match will go on to fight Adam Cole for the NXT Championship in a winner-takes-all match. It's a very Vince McMahon thing to do. He's done this a million times with these winner-takes-all matches and things. He that's something which he pulls out his back pocket quite often when like he feels threatened or the ratings are in a decline or whatever. So it's a very Vince McMahon thing to do. Yeah, so Matt Riddle's debut started SmackDown this week, which probably wasn't the best of ideas, but it was already, filmed and edited with just hours to go before when the allegations all sort of surfaced.
Well, yeah, but at the end of the day, last week some people managed to watch Jeff Hardy piss in the cup. Others in America didn't.
That's very true. Yeah, it's very true.
How can you not suddenly be able to suddenly change things? It's not like they're not going to have multiple different things or be able to get fucking AJ to come down and just have some scenario thing and just do a quick film thing before. It's bollocks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's I feel like they
especially at that point at the same time, just before that happened. They've sacked one person through these allegations as well. So it wasn't a great for me. It wasn't a great show. Riddle should have held off on Matt Riddle.
But SmackDown was what it was. Again, I thought it was fun. I think I'll say this: Shorty G is just so damn good, and it really.
I was about to bring Shorty G up. I fucking loved it.
And it's really annoying.
In the back of his head.
Yeah, he's so damn good, and it's just so annoying how underutilized that man is. I love him every time he's on my screen.
I can't wait for him to finally get his chance against Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship, and he fucking wins it.
I thought the Miz TV segment was very good. I think Sonya Deville was very, very good in that segment.
Yep.
Genuinely brilliant on the mic. Talking about Miz, let's talk about probably what was the highlight of the wrestling week, which was the Miz and John Morrison's music video at Backlash. They only showed a little bit of it on the actual pay-per-view, but they showed the full thing on the pre-show. It was just the greatest thing. I loved that so much. It was so great.
I've been hyping these guys for ages. Just think how much more popular SmackDown would be if those two were Universal Champion right now.
Yeah.
And we're doing musical videos at the same time. You know what I mean?
And we had at the end we had the return of sort of old school Bray Wyatt.
You mean Bray Wyatt, Eater of Worlds?
Is that I think they're building a lot of really good stuff on SmackDown. I really think they are. I think there's lots of good stuff with Sasha and Bailey, Nikki Cross and Alexa.
I'll tell you one thing that's starting to irritate me. I'm loving the fact that the SmackDown, the tag team titles are getting quite a good bit.
Mm.
But making the SmackDown Women's title mean jack shit because that's not being. But I know some people mentioned it earlier on about bits where I think before Nikki went psychotic on Sasha and Bailey and started kicking the crap out of them. But just starting to feel, well, is no one going to get ready to try and challenge for the SmackDown Women's Championship?
That was this week in wrestling. It's been a very, very, very long one again. At the beginning of the lockdown and coronavirus, everyone was thinking, hey, we're not going to have much news.
Wrestling was a bit boring before COVID-19 happened, wasn't it?
Yeah. So everyone was thinking, oh, God, no, COVID-19 is going to just sort of, wrestling's going to disappear for a few months and come back. We've not had a week yet, which hasn't been interesting.
And Welcome America was a bit more peaceful before COVID-19 as well.
Yeah, that's true. So head on over and follow us on Twitter at SEW_podcast. We're going to be following all the latest news stories and following all the shows throughout the week. Please like and subscribe to this video, and we will see you next time. We are out.